What's up, everyone? We're back again with another video, this time on 3 new Rockshox forks that came out earlier this year. Rockshox did a whole new revamp on their trail forks, so the Pike, the Zeb, and the Lyrik. We got Zane here today to talk about the new lineup. Zane, how's it going, man?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Why don't you let the people know who you are and why you're sitting here with us today?
Yeah, so I'm Zane. I work with SRAM. I'm the field guide in Northern California. Basically what that means is I cover all our aftermarket sales and retailer support in the Northern California area.
Sweet, man. So how'd you get started in biking?
Yeah, I started biking about 5 years ago. My first year of college, my older brother bought a full suspension mountain bike. And we'd always played around with bikes as kids, but never really got into it. And that first ride on his bike, I was hooked. So since then, I've been in love with it. My wife says that I'm addicted to it. So my favorite addiction, and I'm really stoked with our new product and stoked to bring it to you guys here today.
Well, it sounds like you kind of ended up in the right place. I think we're all in that same boat, having terrible addictions to riding mountain bikes and building bikes. So yeah, great. Well, let's dive right into it. 3 new forks, Pike, Lyrik, and Zeb, the bread and butter trail forks of the brand. So let's just go over, for those who are not super familiar with the fork lineup. Pike is your cross-country trail fork. What's that?
I would say trail, solid trail. So yeah, 120 to 140 millimeter travel ranges. You know, definitely a great stiff, aggressive trail fork, but focusing more on that 120 to 130 travel bike.
And then Lyrik bumps up to what, 140, 160?
140 through 160, yeah. So that's your solid all mountain range. Kind of the bike, the do-it-everything fork. If you don't know what you want or you don't know what you want to ride, that's going to be a great fork.
So the Zeb now at the longer 160 to 180?
Yep, yeah, it goes up to 190 now. So yeah, 160 all the way up to 190. Yeah, fork that can handle everything you throw at it. Obviously, last year you saw Brandon Semenuk winning Red Bull Rampage on a Zeb. So it can handle just about anything.
Pike and Lyrik got all new chassis, is that correct?
Yes, all new chassis, new uppers, new lowers. And all 3 of them have big upgrades on our new Charger 3 damper, new Debonair Plus air spring, Buttercups. So yeah, they're really amazing. Yeah,
so it sounds like SRAM was able to kind of start from scratch, put in a whole bunch of new internals, new damper, new air spring, like you said, did the bleed valves to kind of compete with everyone else in the market. They made some pretty bold claims that obviously as a, I work at a bike shop, but as an end consumer, end user of the product, anytime a brand like SRAM will say, hey, like, our fork reduces hand shatter by 20%, or the new air spring has better mid-stroke support than ever before, or like this damper is super like adjustable and you can get the perfect setting every time. We hear that stuff and it's like, okay, cool, maybe, like, let's check it out. How did they do it?
Yeah, so I mean, we start with the air spring. That's a key piece of that equation. And they started basically by sending 2 of our engineers out on their own and basically gave them a clean slate to design and engineer a completely new air spring from scratch that would meet the needs of today's mountain bikers. The result is, I think, the smoothest, best air spring we've ever made, for sure.
Yeah, and then the damper 2 is all new, right? So Charger 3 now.
Yeah.
Big upgrade. We won't be too technical about the changes, but you go from a bladder-based damper to a springback IFP, and that means, nothing to most of people, but it's a big change in feel and use case.
Yeah, I mean, what that means for the end consumer is that we've made a damper that accomplishes a few things. First, that it's really accessible and really easy for customers to get the most out of their damper. It's easy to set up, easy to feel the difference. We have completely independent high and low speed compression. And what that means for you at home is that if you get on one of these forks, whether or not this is your first time mountain biking or you're a suspension tech at a shop, it is going to be really easy for you to get it feeling just right. I know that was something that always intimidated me as a rider. I was always scared to get on a fork that had too much adjustment. But the adjustments here are definable. Every click you can feel, and it's really easy to access. The other thing that means is that it's really, really smooth. And finally, it's completely silent. We've been on these forks for a little while, and I haven't heard any sound from my fork. as I ride.
Yeah, I'll touch on that a little bit. I've been on the new Zeb for just a couple weeks now, and that whole sound thing, I mean, I heard about it, and then you read it, you're like, okay, cool, it's quiet, whatever. You throw it on the floor, you throw it on your bike, and then you go for a ride, and then when it is quiet, it's a luxury that you didn't know you wanted.
Yeah, it's something you wouldn't know that you wanted until you have it.
Yeah, sure. That's the best way to say it, I think, because now that my fork is quiet, I'm like, yeah, I don't want a loud.
Yeah, you don't ever want to go back.
I can't hear that sound. The quietness is just so nice. Hearing the dirt underneath the tires is just the best sound. So I want to jump into Buttercups real quick because that was the big feature that, like, when the press release came out, us at the shop were like, okay, it does this, that, and the other. And oh, by the way, it reduces hand vibration by 20%.
Yeah, that's my favorite new feature on the forks for sure.
Yeah, so it seems like they use a pretty simple solution to, like, correct that. What they do exactly?
Yeah, so basically at the bottom of our forks, at the bottom of the lowers, screwed into the damper and air spring, we have a little metal capsule that they call Buttercups. And inside of those, there's just 2 pieces of rubber that allow some compliance in there and allow it to absorb vibration. They actually got that idea from chainsaws. So while they were testing, chainsaw manufacturers use rubber in their handles and in the machining of the chainsaw to absorb the vibrations of the chain hitting the wood, and it works really well.
Yeah, it's almost like too simple of a solution for it to work. You're like, oh, let's just put rubber and then that'll just absorb vibration because it works in this other application, and yeah, it works.
Amazing. Yeah, I've not had any problem with arm pump or pain in my hands since I started riding these forks.
Yeah, I mean, I admittedly, or not admittedly, I'm super sensitive to arm pump and hand vibration, and have been the butt of more than a few jokes in regards to that. But so I will look for any reason to, like, reduce arm pump. Like, the 20% thing caught my eye. I'm like, if it actually does what they say it does, like, I'm all totally in. So I think it works. Like I said, I've been on it for a couple of weeks, and I'm more than stoked on the reduction in arm pump.
Definitely crazy to see a brand, like SRAM or Rockshox making a claim of 20% improvement. That's a big jump, but it's noticeable, and I think it's something that you guys at home will really notice your first ride out on these forks.
Yeah, I also love that if you look on the website, I figured out that the Buttercups are gold anno. Yeah. And they're a really pretty machined piece of aluminum in a place that no one is ever going to see it.
They're beautiful.
Just because, right?
Yeah.
So I encourage you guys, if you don't have Buttercups in your Zeb, the older Zebs are retrofittable. I don't even know that's a word, but you can put the Buttercups in the old Zeb.
You can upgrade your old Zeb chassis with the new damper and air spring and add the Buttercups in. And
But you cannot do that on Lyrik and Pike, right? Because the Pike and Lyrik are
new chassis,
Yeah, so unfortunately for those of you who have older Lyriks and Pikes, you can't, but if you have an older Zeb, buy the Buttercups, buy the debonair air spring, and buy the Charger 3 damper, because it is a world of difference. I can't say enough good things about my experience so far on them. Going back to something that you don't know you want until you have it is air bleed valves, and I only figured out that I wanted those when I had a 38. And I took my bike to North Star and got up there and was setting the bike up in the garage and started playing with the bleed valves, and I was shocked at how much air came out of the fork. It was unreal, and to think that I was just coming up there and riding it, I don't know how many years prior without ever doing that. I love that Rockshox is able to integrate that, especially into, a fork like the Zeb that you would take, from sea level to,
Yeah, you could be riding laps at Santa Cruz one day and then the next day up at North Star. It's one of those things a small feature that allows you to keep your fork performing at its best in any circumstance. On that same note, another small convenient thing that we've added is with our new crown shape, we now have bolt-on fenders, as you can see. And cleans up the front of the bike, a little more stable than using zip ties and that sort of thing.
I also appreciate that the fenders double as a stand for this video.
Yeah. For everybody at home, we do have the Rockshox Trailhead app that you can use on your phone. You can load it up on your computer. What that allows you to do is you can type in the serial number of the fork, which will be found right on your crown there. And you type in your weight, and it'll give you setup suggestions. So it'll give you a PSI rebound recommendation, and it'll get you really close, help you aid in that setup process. Just one more thing we offer to help make that less intimidating and more accessible to anybody that wants to get on one of these forks.
Yeah, setup on a suspension is the biggest key, right, to get it to feel proper. It's really nice that SRAM and Rockshox take the extra step and make the app and give people the thing to make it easy. Right?
It puts you in the right place so you could ride it exactly as they recommend if you don't want to mess with it too much, and then if you want to dial into it, makes it really easy.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times we've heard at the shop that, oh, my new fancy expensive suspension doesn't feel good. Well, 99 or really 100% of the time it's setup issue.
Yeah,
right? Like it's 100%. That guy didn't put enough air in, or that girl didn't dial in the compression to what it should be, or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
Setup is everything, and use the app. Well, thanks, Zane. Appreciate you coming down. That was a great breakdown of the new fork lineup. I'm excited to try Pike and Lyrik at some point. Thanks, guys, for watching. Appreciate you checking out our breakdown of the new Rockshox forks. And thanks again, Zane, for coming in.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you taking the time to tell everyone about why the new forks are so awesome. We'll have to have you back again to do some more SRAM, Zip, Rockshox stuff. For
totally.
Sure.
Yeah, I loved it. Glad to be here.
And if you guys are interested in getting one of these for yourself, check out summitbicycles.com. They're online. You can buy them now. We can ship them to your house, or you come to the stores. We have 5 stores for you to choose from. Come say hi, visit us, and check out the new forks. Thanks. What's up, everyone? We're back. We're blah.
We're blah.
Word vomit.